All right, welcome back into another episode of Indie B&B. Today I'm joined by Johnny G Wiz from the band
Yeah,
The Dreamboats.
yeah.
Uh, Coming to us live from Canada today, usually based out in the desert in Palm Springs, but you got the got a little Canadian action going on today. I love it.
Yes, Grant, thanks for having me on the podcast. Yes, broadcasting from Toronto, Canada right now, the Great White North.
Of course, of course. This will be interesting. I just did one with somebody that he's from the Netherlands, but I saw him in Montreal at Corin Cavini. He's a DJ. I saw in Montreal, so at New City Gas. So I've got some Canadian roots, in this show a little bit for
Excellent.
this month of July. So
Right on. I'm honored.
I love it. I love it. Well, Johnny, I mean, you guys have been going with the Dreamboats for a while. I just watched the sizzle reel. Like, I mean, I think there's a lot of exciting stuff to chat about. But like, how'd you guys get it started? Like, where did it all kind of come from? For you guys forming the group and getting them going.
Sure. Well, I mean, it came about very naturally. Like in the '90s. I don't know, Grant. I don't know how old you are. I won't even put you on the spot. But in the '90s, okay, there were all of these like retro revival movies like Back to the Future and That Thing You Do and La Bamba and Great Balls of Fire. So we grew up with this music in some strange way. And then one day a group of us, we were friends of friends. We all got together to just have a jam, kind of sporadically. And the only songs we all knew how to collectively play was like Twist and Shout and Johnny Be Good and La Bamba and Come On Let's Go. And then just literally the very next day the singer Chris was like, hey, do you want to form a band? And I was like, yes, I love everything to do with 50s and 60s. I've always felt that era has just really drawn me. I've been drawn to that era. So it quite literally came about very naturally, and that's what I think the magic has always been of the Dreamboats, is that we didn't start it to make money and make it this career. It kind of, people really resonated with it, and we just almost 16 years later, it's like we're still doing it. Grant, I had hair when we started this band, if you can believe it.
Wow. Oh man. Well, I mean,
I know.
all the jumping around and all the the high energy stuff I saw on the reel. Like, obviously, I could see how we slowly get to be
Yes.
a little bit weathered there. And like, I want to know a little bit more on the 50s and 60s. Such a unique kind of category. Like, again, I've been to a few cover shows. Led Zeppelin 2, and like
Sure.
we've got a couple down here in the South that kind of will play. I'm trying to remember what the other one was that we had. There's a handful of ones that are in that kind of 60s stoner rock, but really you guys are focused so
Nice.
much more on the 50s and 60s, and kind of that we're gonna go to the soda fountain and
The
get
jukebox.
the
The
jukebox and
jukebox.
all
Yeah.
that. So like talk me through, like, how's it been interesting to kind of start exposing a new generation to that type of music?
I mean, it's been great. I think, like, well, I don't think, I know, because, when we're doing certain gigs, we'll be playing to sometimes the baby boomers who are the ones who grew up with this music. But then we'll do some festivals, and there'll be, sometimes people of all ages. And what we've realized is that a lot of people know these songs. These are timeless songs from, like, the first wave of rock and roll. This is the bedrock and foundation of all of these artists, like all modern artists, and about doing the covers, it's really interesting because back in the 50s and 60s, so many bands started as cover bands, like
Yeah.
bands writing their own music as we know it. That's like a fairly a relatively new thing, like even bands like the Beatles in their early days, they were doing covers. A lot of bands, Rolling Stones, it was all cover music. It wasn't really viewed that way, though. It was like, oh, you play in a live band, and the songwriters write the songs, and the musicians play those songs, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. So I feel like we can kind of get away with it because we're doing it justice of how those early bands would play in the clubs, and they would play the rock and roll standards, and they would get the dance floor going. At least that's how we started when we were doing the bars and the clubs. But cut to all of these years later, we're doing big theaters across North America, and the show has grown and it's evolved, and we've just evolved with it, and it started just playing songs that we loved, Johnny Be Good, and I can't even think, Everly Brothers tunes, and Dion songs, The Wanderer and Run Around Sue. And now we're just like, okay, the show has grown around that, where we're doing the handstands, we're doing the dance moves, we're doing all of that. And it's like 50s and 60s music on steroids. That's kind of what it's evolved into, and I love it. I think it's great. I love our band. We love it.
I love that. Well, are there, as you've gotten in, and do you have people who will specifically like request, hey, we'll DM you on social media beforehand, like, hey, we need to hear Run Around Sue tonight, or like, I can imagine that they're, as a cover band, as you see them in the bars and the clubs and different places, and obviously yours is, scaled up tremendously. Like, you probably have that request, those requests coming in more. How do y'all handle that? Like, at this point, does it affect the set list ever?
Well, where do I begin? Because when we were doing the clubs and the bars back in the day, like doing 3 45-minute sets, 3 1-hour sets, a lot of people don't realize, but these songs from the 50s and 60s are like 2 minutes long. So we had to have so many songs in our repertoire to fill 3 sets worth. Like I said, this is back in the day. We do theaters now, so it's all structured. But back in the day, we had a huge list of songs. We'd be doing like 60 songs in a night just to fill the time. So of course we would get requests, but at the same time, it's like, if we wouldn't do a song like, Don't Stop Believing or something, because it's like, that's not what we do, so we were always like, that's not what we do. We don't play anything past 1965. That was always our rule. But now, as the show has evolved, we've honed in on the songs that are just the really good ones, that have the best moments. There's like not a dull moment in the show. So we've taken the years of doing and grinding in the bar scene, and we've put together this show that is like the best of what we've been doing. And so now we don't really take requests because the show's all dialed in. We got video and we got the moves. But, could we pull a song out of our back pocket that we haven't done in a while? Probably, because it's like, you don't forget that. You don't forget the early days of playing all night long. And to be honest, those are like some of the funnest days of the band. Yeah.
Now, when you're doing the clubs, like when we're on the come up, right? Like when we're doing the clubs, like are we in the suits and everything, or did it start out one person in the suits, or is it's always been, hey, we got the look with what we're doing?
Since show 1, we were like, we got to wear matching something, and it started with a vest. It was a Walmart. What's the brand they got? George. It was a George vest, a gray vest. And we're like, and it's so crazy because we didn't even think twice. It was kind of like, oh yeah, we gotta get matching vests. Like it was like, so the whole band came about so natural. It was just like, oh yeah, of course we gotta be matching. We're doing 50, of course. And then it went from the vest, and I remember in Mississauga, Canada, which is our hometown. We're all hometown guys, except for our guitar player, different sideline. But we all would go to this place called Le Chateau. It's where they would sell suits. But we would go to the outlet Le Chateau. So they were always having this blowout sale. It was like every week was like a blowout sale. So we would go there, and they'd be selling like the funkiest jackets, like suit jackets. So we got the first red velvet jacket after the vest. And then it was suits the whole time. Yeah, we got into the suits. Many suits over the years. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine it, as you guys have, you put on a 3-hour set, and look, anytime I'm in a suit for over 3 hours, unless we're outside, I'm sweating. So like, how many suits per year, on the come up, in the first 5 to 6 years of the band, like how many suits per year are we going through? Like, what's the dry cleaning bill look like? What are we thinking there?
We had, like, I would say on any given year, we'd have between 3 to 5 suits that we could choose from. And every show, we would pick different suits. But now, what's really been working for us is sticking to one suit. And that is the teal suit that you probably see on all of our social media. And what's happened since deciding that, it's made our shows easier to decide, because we're always like, well, we were in the reds tonight, we were in the gold, what are we doing? Now it's just easy decision. But in doing that, we found that our Instagram, our social media in general, has really popped off because people immediately recognize us. Because there are other bands who are wearing suits. You know, when we would wear the red suits, sometimes people are like, "Oh, is this the Jersey Boys? What is this?" And we'd be wearing the gold. They're like, "Oh, is that Rockabilly Band?" Now it's like the teal has become the Dreamboats color. And since making that decision, we've really noticed a difference. And that was our singer Chris, Chris Richie. That was his decision to just go with that, and we've really seen like a building of the brand. It's really honed in. So to answer your question though, it's like, you know, in between sets, it's like we gotta do what we gotta do, and we bring a blow dryer and we're like, that's usually Richie because he's dancing like a madman. You know, so we just dry it ourselves in between sets. We come out looking fresh, and you know, we wash them when we can.
I love it. I love it. Well, as you guys have, you know, going through touring, and you start to play arena shows and larger venues, like, you know, what's that been like? You know, have you been able to see, like, you've been able to multiple time visit a city, and you've kind of upgraded every single time you go? Like, you know, what are some of your favorite places that you kind of like, oh, I remember in this particular place we play this club, and then we built up to this club, and now we're here. Like, you know, what are some examples there of like some good, you know, cities that you guys have grown, you know, tremendously in?
Well, we're originally, like I said, from just outside of Toronto, Canada, Mississauga, and we moved the band to California 4 years ago. So that was a big move for us. You know, we had done some shows, some private events, and public, but big ticketed events in California. But, you know, we didn't actually move there or live there. So we moved down there with only 4 shows booked. We literally packed up our lives, drove down there in 2 cars, a little trailer, with 4 shows booked. The 4th and final show, it was like we were living in an Airbnb out in Joshua Tree, all of us. And we're like, what are we going to do after the 4th show? And some stroke of luck, it was at a casino, and they really liked our show. That was the 4th one, and they ended up locking us into a residency that lasted 2 years. So we had this lifeline. But to answer your question, where we saw the most growth was in California, because in Canada, we had started doing theaters, and then COVID came. But we ended off as being like a theater band, you know? And then moving to California, it's like we were busking like for the first couple weeks. We were doing bars again. Like, that was a very humbling yet fun experience to go from being like, oh, we're a theater band, to now like we're doing the 3-set thing again, which is crazy. We hadn't done that in a long time. So we kind of took a couple steps back to take a few steps forward. It was a gamble. It was a huge gamble for us, especially like I'm 39 now. That was 4 years ago. So, you know, I was like, I guess I would have been, you know, 35, 36 at that. I forget. I'm bad at math. But, you know, it was, so we've really seen the growth there, even within Palm Springs. It's like, you know, we've been playing the smaller venues, even in the area, Cathedral City. Now, we broke the record 2 times in a row in Cathedral City, which is right next to Palm Springs. We broke the record for the biggest attendance at their outdoor Taste and Sounds of Cathedral City festival. So, 2 times in a row. So to go from like literally busking in Palm Springs to then doing that, it's like, we've seen the growth, and now that's expanding into other parts of the U.S. So we haven't really gone back to some of these places yet around the United States. It's still new for us. But in California, we've been seeing a lot of growth, and in Florida, I'm sure you can imagine, we've been seeing a lot of growth. You know.
We get you down there with a lot of the old folks are hanging out. I mean, that's I can see exactly how those are the 2 states that make the most sense. We got to get you. There's a handful of pockets down here in the South. You got to start hitting. There's a lot of good places to grow old. So
totally.
Gotta get you up the coast.
We're gonna make it there. Yeah.
I mean, what a gamble to get. You know, you guys go from playing. You know, what was the driving factor? You had a few shows booked, and you're like, hey, let's just go out there, and then, you know, why don't we just stay? Or like, was it like, you know, what made you guys want to do that?
You know what? When you're in a band, okay, and are you in a band? Do you perform?
I do not perform. No. Well, I just
maybe
enjoy.
You enjoy. Well, maybe even just having this podcast, it's like you come across people many times who were all talk, okay? And
Yeah.
we were performing in Mississauga, our hometown in Toronto. We played a gig, and some guy saw us, and then he was like, I want you to play my daughter's wedding. We're like, cool. We were doing weddings at the time. This was like maybe
Yeah.
10 years ago. So cut to a few months later, we're playing his daughter's wedding, and we're at the bar, the open bar, and he's like, have a drink with me. So we're having a drink, and we're all there around him, and he's like, boys, I'm going to bring you to California. And we're kind of like, okay, how many times have we heard someone, I'm going to do this for you? And we're like, oh, yeah, cool. He's like, no. My company, it's a countertop company. We're the main sponsor for an event in Palm Springs called Modernism Week. And I was like, Palm Springs, Florida? And he's like, no, Palm Springs, California. He's like, I sponsor this. I'm going to bring you guys down there. And I'm like, okay. Sure, let's go to California. So sure enough, he calls me a couple days after the wedding. He's like, how much is it going to cost to get you guys to California? I'm like, I don't know. We're in Canada. I got to figure out the work visa. I got to like do all this. I don't know how to accept payment in US. It was crazy. So we all sat down as a band, calculated a number, and I called him back and I threw out the number, and he snap called me and he said, done, make it happen. And I was like, oh my God. Now I got to figure out how to do the
Was
visa.
the number too high or too low?
Probably, I think he would have said yes to any number, because we realized later that in him giving us this opportunity, it turned into him convincing us to move to California. Every time we played this one event, the red carpet party, and then we got so much work, so we went back to Canada, and we would come back for other events. We're doing these fly-ins, and he has a house in Canada and in Palm Springs. He'd be like, guys, cancel those tickets. You gotta be, this is where you gotta be. California, this is the place, this is the market. You can always go back to Canada for shows, but you should be living down here. So every time we go back and forth, we'd go in his hot tub. He was a very successful guy, and he would say, cancel those tickets, you're here now. Stay here, stay here. After COVID, California was open. Everything was closed in Canada. California was outdoors. Things were happening. So we said, let's do it. And it was on a bit of a whim, you know. We decided in November 2021. By January 8th, 2022, we were on the road, and here we are, you know.
Wow.
Here we are.
I mean, what a gamble. I love that. You know,
It was.
glad I got to get a little more in there. Like the countertop guy coming through in the clutch,
Mike.
and you know, Mike.
Yeah.
And shout out Mike to getting
Mike
you guys
Heatherman.
there.
Of
Yes.
course, Mike and Kathy, we never forget, you know,
I love
what
that.
they did. Yeah.
I love that.
But-
Well, you know, for you guys, you know, you've had, you know, other, obviously, you know, some other notoriety, you know, around Canada. Want to you know, dip in a little bit on the, you know, the Canada's Got Talent. Like, you know, as you get into some kind of, you know, television kind of thing, and you know, what's that like? I mean, how did that come about? Was that something that, you know, you guys had been touring the theaters and shows, and people were like, hey, like, y'all got to go on this show, or did somebody approach you guys to get on that show? What that look like?
Yeah, we knew someone who had an in with, I guess, one of the people who I guess gets like the talent for it to audition. And because we're in California and this was in Canada, we kind of had to audition remotely, and we got pushed through because they liked us. They'd seen what we were doing and all of that. So they were just like, okay, they want you guys to be broadcast on TV. So we didn't even go in there. It was like we auditioned remotely and we got to go on TV. And it was a whirlwind because we had a gig in Palm Desert, California, finished the gig, and then literally packed up, drove directly to LA, caught the 6 a.m. flight, flew to Canada, Niagara Falls, got in, spent the night. Next morning we were up at 6 a.m. filming all day, all B-roll on us. Then we do the performance, and then flew back that night to California, had a gig the next day. So it was a whirlwind. We did not advance, though. We did not advance. We actually... The thing is, people look us up. They're like, why can't we find your performance online? And the thing is, they don't share the performances that didn't make it. However, we were on TV. We were on the national broadcast, and it's a bit of a weird subject because they actually kind of spun it a lot differently than how it actually was. You know, they kind of, in the episode, they kind of cut to people like really confused about us, but that wasn't the case. We got a huge roar of an applause, you know. So it was kind of a bit of like, they painted a weird picture of us, but we're like, you know what? Howie said a nice thing there. The judges said some good stuff. It was a cool experience, but we were very at home because, you know, we'd done this so many times that we weren't really nervous, you know, even though
Yeah.
there's the TVs and we're standing there looking around at this big theater, and, you know, you got the judges there. We got Howie and then the Canadian judges, you know, who are really big in Canada. And it was a cool experience, but yeah, they kind of painted a bit of a different picture than us, but it was an experience. We learned a
Hey.
lot.
You take
We learned a lot.
you take all the press you can, any which way you can slice it for sure.
Exactly.
And I'm sure you
Exactly.
know, regardless, I think there are probably some people who watch the performance, and instead of them looking at the cuts, they're probably listening and be like, "Oh man, like we
Yeah.
gotta check out the Dreamboats. Where they
did.
located?" You know,
We got a lot of messages after that. Everyone's like, "What was that? Like, that's not you guys." I'm like,
Yeah.
I know, but
Yeah.
we got featured on national TV. It was cool. They did all our backstories. It was a cool experience. I wish they would have shared it online, but I think they know deep down that they did us dirty, so they didn't
Yeah.
share it on their channel.
Well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
What are you
guys,
gonna do?
you got the teal suits now, and we're playing July 3rd. So this will come out. You know, this will
Yeah.
have been out for a little bit, and you know, as you guys are preparing for Graceland and
Yeah, we're playing
Elvis
Graceland.
and like
Yeah.
all these things. So what, you know, in your prep for that, like what is, you know, do you change the set list a little bit? Do we have any kind of, you know, special things that you know are trying out? Like, talk to me through that.
Yeah. Well, you know, we have our kind of dialed in theater show, and how it works is that we'll do our theater show for about a year and a half. So we hit all the new places, then we freshen it up, and we got a new show that we're working on now for the next round of shows. So we have that standard show, but for the Elvis Graceland show, which is tied into the 4th of July, we're really tailoring our set to more of the American, like Americana kind of rock and roll, the roots rock and roll, because in our show we do like a whole British invasion segment, you know, where we got Herman's Hermits and Beatles and all that, the Kinks. But you know, for this Elvis thing, we're getting our Americana on, you know, like the States, this is where rock and roll was formed. Elvis was at the forefront of that, at least in terms of the mainstream stuff. He really borrowed a lot from, you know, a lot of the black artists, a lot of the blues artists, and Elvis kind of brought that into the forefront. So, you know, we got to honor that. And I mean, I haven't been to Graceland. That is like the mecca of Elvis fans, of rock and roll, and to be playing there, yeah, it's a bit of a dream come true. It's almost as cool no, it is as cool as us when we played in Liverpool at the Cavern Club. That's where the Beatles played, like all their early shows. So we played there. I feel like that was like check mark that off the bucket list, and now it's like Graceland. That is like the North American equivalent, you know. So it's a big honor to be playing here, and I know when people listen to this, we will have already played it. So the show was great. I know
It was unbelievable.
I know it's going to be awesome.
I love
and,
it. I love
and
it.
because we share posts from all of our shows, like our social media, you know, we got our videographer at every show. So if you're listening to this, there's a strong chance that you could go to our social media, check the Dreamboats, and we're gonna have clips from it. And yeah, we're really looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
We can't wait. Can't wait to see the clips. Can't wait to get the you know, get the rundown from it. Well, you know, do you have a particular Elvis song that you're really excited to play? Like, is there one that you kind of you know, sticks out in your head?
I love an Elvis. Okay, here's the thing. This is for like the true Elvis fans, because it's not like it was a hit. Like Elvis fans know it, but my favorite song is called "Return to Sender." Okay, that is my favorite song. And that's all I got, you know. I don't know, there's something about that song. I feel like it's a perfect song. It's catchy, it's got a nice melody, it's got a little bridge. The topic is just it just epitomizes you know, simple, catchy pop rock and roll for me. So yeah, Return to Sender, and we play that song, and I sing that song behind the drums. So you know, I'm a little biased, but also our singer Richie, he does a great "Can't Help Falling in Love" version that just gets everyone really emotional. He gets the whole crowd singing by the end of it. He's got the mic out there. The whole crowd is chanting. It's a really cool moment. So I have a feeling that people will be singing along,
I love that.
especially at Graceland. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Well, what for and last thing on the set list, and we'll kind of
Yeah.
transition here, but like, what for you, if you could insert, hey, we got to take one song after 1965, and you got to insert it into it can't be 1966. You got to get a song from maybe 1985 and forward.
Oh,
What song would you insert into just the regular show set list, or just one you would, like it could be from 2 years ago, whatever. But like, what's one song that if you could, beam one in from the future, what would it be?
it's hard to say because there was that movie, That Thing You Do, in the 90s. So that's technically a retro song, but it was written in the 90s. It was written by the guy who wrote Stacy's Mom, I believe.
Oh, from Fountains of Wayne.
Yes, I believe he wrote That Thing You Do. Pretty sure he did. Don't you can fact check me. But I feel like I would throw that in because I love that movie. Like that was a huge thing for me, and that was technically a later song. But then in the '80s, you got like the rockabilly revival. You got the Stray Cats, who were doing "We're Gonna Rock This Town, Rock It Inside Out."
Yeah.
So you could like do all of that. In terms of a modern song, I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. But I feel like there's a lot to choose from that would still fit the vibe. Post, because there's been artists who come along that just they'll throw in this little subliminal nostalgia, and you're like, oh, it sounds familiar, and then you realize it's a chord progression from like 1950, or it's like it's got a lick from like 1960. Yeah, I'm gonna say That Thing You Do.
That Thing You Do. I like it. All right, so we'll keep that one. We'll keep that one in there. I like it, and put it in the. Yeah, maybe it makes it in. Maybe we do the message from the future. We get the Back to the Future machine in there, and it just like comes in. Like, hey, I don't know. Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Johnny, we'll transition here. Pete Peterson's party pack of questions, some rapid fire to end us off here. It's been a super fun conversation, so we'll rip into it here. All right,
sure.
Cake or pie, Johnny G Wiz? What do you prefer?
Cake.
He's caking it up. All right. Salad or soup?
Soup.
All right. Sunrise or sunset? What are you seeing more of these days?
Sunset.
Sunset. I love it. All right. Would you rather hit a home run or score a touchdown?
Ooh. Home run.
Home run. All right. Are you having more nights in or nights out these days?
In, sadly. I want it to be nights out.
Yeah. All right. When you do go out and your jam comes on, are you more likely to hit the robot or the worm on the dance floor?
Robot.
Oh, there we go. We like that.
Robot.
Like that. All right. Guac or queso at your favorite Tex-Mex spot?
Guac. The queso rocks my world.
I love it. All right. Waffles or pancakes?
The great debate. I'm going to have to go with blueberry pancakes.
Blueberry pancakes. I like it. All right. Coffee or tea with your blueberry pancakes?
Coffee. I drink a lot of coffee.
All
yeah.
Right. Dogs or cats?
Dogs. Cats are evil. Don't hate me, but that's my stance.
I like it. Are you more like a ninja or a pirate, would you say?
Ninja.
Running around swift. I like it. All right.
Yeah.
Chips or pretzels?
Chips.
All right. Fries or tots?
Fries. But going back to chips, I'm going to say ketchup chips. You guys don't have that in the States. In Canada, we got the ketchup chips and the all dressed. The two best flavors.
The all dressed. I've heard good things. I need to get it. I need to get an example.
Yeah, side note.
I love it. All right. TV show or movie after a long day?
Movie.
Get
me in the zone.
I like it. All right. Are aliens real?
Ooh. I'm going to say yes, but I'm not all conspiracy. I'm just like, they're probably real,
I like it. All right. If you were a fruit, what kind of fruit would you be?
What would it be? I would be an orange.
An orange. I like it. Vitamin C, calcium. Let's go.
Yes.
All right.
Acidic. Yeah.
Acidic. Is love at first sight real?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yes.
All right. And finally, give us two bands that we ought to check out that we might not know.
Okay, I'll keep it modern right now.
Yeah.
But I'm really into a band. I was listening right before this interview. I'm into a band called Improvement Movement.
They're from Atlanta.
Are they from Atlanta?
They're
You know
from
them?
Atlanta. Oh yeah, we know them. Oh yeah.
They just got a new release out, I think today or yet. I don't know. It's a little too. Anyways, they got an album. I saw them play as well out in California. Me and our videographer, big fans. Improvement Movement.
Improvement
That's number
Movement.
one. So you
Wow.
know, you got
Oh
it.
yeah.
That's cool. And then second, I'm really into the East Los Angeles sound. So it's a band called The Sinceres, and they do all they play. Their music sounds like it was recorded in the '50s, but it's like a modern band, and they're great. They nail it. The singer Joey Quinones, he records this stuff. Sounds so authentic. Slow jams that you just want to kind of drive in your car with your girl with. The Sinceres. Yeah.
I love it. We got Improvement Movement, shout out, and then The
Yeah.
Sinceres. So
Yes.
hey, those are Johnny G Wiz's 2 picks. Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. He nailed it. Johnny, we appreciate you so much for coming on. And again, everybody check out Dreamboats. We'll have the Dreamboats will have the social below. We'll have their Spotify if you want to go listen to them, you know, rip out and you want to listen to them in the car, get that going. We got that below as well. And their website, coming to a city near you, hopefully. And you know, what tour, where are we coming after Graceland? Do we have a big tour? You know, is it all on the socials?
We're always on tour. We never stop. Like, we're playing all over the place. We're playing Palmdale, El Monte, Sacramento. We're playing in Canada again, Indiana, Iowa, South Dakota. We're all over the place. Wisconsin. This is all in a matter of months. So, yeah, it's all online.
All online. Go check them out, dreamboats.com. And, you know, we'll look forward to the show here down in the Dirty South in Atlanta at some point.
Soon.
We'll get you know, we'll get you guys going down here.
For sure. But yeah, Grant, I appreciate you having me on the show, and congrats. I too have a podcast, a music business podcast. I know how much work it takes. So I appreciate you, all that you do. Much respect, and thanks for giving artists a platform to just share a little bit about themselves. It's great.
Of course, man. Of course. Thank you for coming on and sharing a little bit about yourself. It's been great.
For sure. We'll catch you next time.
Next time.
All right.